one day. He goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and the fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it.
Guys, as we speak, LA is being ran through by a wildfire that is just uncontrollable. Obviously, wildfires are a thing in many dry locations, but California has been particularly vulnerable to wildfires for years. It seems like every 3, 4, 5 years they have a very bad one that kind of runs rampant, but this one has taken the cake and it is a whole nother level. You have all of the affluent areas pretty much being burnt to the ground, 10,000 plus acres, and that was about 2 days ago that I saw that. And that clip from Joe Rogan is just kind of disturbing because obviously people have had the foresight to see that this was going to happen, and the fact that nothing really has ever been done to mitigate the possibility of this happening. It's just really sad, man. You really have to pray and just hope for the best for everyone in California, man. You know it's bad when the major sports start postponing games, canceling games, because that's where all the money comes from, you know? And a lot of these states, the stadiums, the arenas, all their sports teams contribute so much to their local economies. For those things to be postponed and canceled is just insane. You have the coach for the Lakers, JJ Redick, his house being burnt down. It's really, really sad, man. And you got to think about the people who aren't as fortunate, that do not have the wealth that all these actors and celebrities have, that are dealing with the same exact thing. You can see here, like I just said, JJ Redick's house being burned down. As of right now, the two headlines that we're seeing right here, Los Angeles Times, 10 dead, more than 9,000 homes damaged or destroyed in LA, at least 10 dead. And then you have just the absolute disgusting shit from insurance companies, list of carriers that have fled or reduced coverage. As we said before, wildfires have been a major thing California has always dealt with. I personally lived in California when I was a child. We dealt with that as well. Thankfully, our house was never burnt down, but we knew people whose house got burnt down. We had to evacuate. It is a very scary thing. It's just like any other natural disaster. It is completely out of your control. So yes, wildfires have always been a thing in California, but many people are looking at Gavin Newsom because he is the governor of California, obviously, and they're kind of looking at certain things that have been done in the state over the last few years. Firefighters had a lot of their funding cut, and these are the times where people start to point fingers and look for answers, and they're going, you did all this shit for the homeless, saying that you were gonna fix the homeless problem. You took billions of dollars to do that. You cut funding for firefighters, and now look at what we're dealing with. One thing does not necessarily have to do with the other, but funding is funding. And looking back on it now, definitely shouldn't have cut funding for the fucking firefighters.
California's on fire once again. Only now, instead of burning up the red counties and the forested areas to the north, it's devastating portions of Los Angeles. Everybody's seeing it on the news. Every year we know the Santa Ana winds are going to blow. Every year we know that there's going to be risk. So what is our governor doing to help stop the risk? Virtually nothing, other than showing up at press conferences and waving his arms around and having long practiced monologues about, oh, it's someone else's fault, this or that. So it's time for the governor to either bear down or get out of the way, because California keeps suffering. My county's up north, Carr Fire, Camp Fire, Dixie Fire, 1 million acres, and now it's hitting the constituents of Southern California hard. Why does this have to keep happening? Why is not anything being done to really mitigate the issue of forest management, of brush management, and lower the risk? Why is the water being cut off at the hydrants? Is it because he won't allow us to build the water storage we need for a growing population?
That's another thing that I've seen. I'm sure a lot of you have as well. Apparently a lot of the fire hydrants aren't even fucking producing water. That's absolutely insane.
the winds were just howling around the house. We knew we needed to have our go bags ready, so our passports, birth certificates, important home documents, pink slips for the cars, those types of items. I just stayed up watching the fire, watching, and then finally at about 3:30 we left the house and headed down here.
That is the saddest thing about this. The average everyday person who is going to be affected by this, that is going to possibly have their home burned down, lose all of their belongings except for the immediate things they can grab. You got to think, a lot of these people have to go find shelter somewhere at certain evacuation centers. And yes, there's a lot of them, but there's not unlimited space, people. Like, and everybody does not have money to go get a hotel for their whole family. Like, people are really going to be struggling through this, and this is going to ruin a lot of people's lives, man. LA cut a lot of money from their fire department's budget. LA Mayor Karen Bass cut fire department funding by $17.6 million. This is from the ABC Los Angeles, CNN, NBC4, Daily News. Like, LA Fire Chief warned last month that budget cuts would affect response to large-scale emergencies. In terms of wildfires in California history, the Palisades Fire does not rank very high. It torched 15,832 acres as of Wednesday. While that is certainly large, 17 California fires have burned more than 200,000 acres. The August Complex Fire is the only fire that grew past 1 million acres in size. So I guess the main thing with this one is, because it is affecting such affluent areas, it is doing a ton of damage monetarily in comparison to other ones. And I guess this is one of the first ones that really has affected LA this much. A lot of them happen in northern California, where it's a bit more woodsy and foresty, I guess. As we know, California is a very dry state. They are always dealing with droughts. It's kind of crazy to me that this is one of their major natural disaster issues, and they've never really been able to get a great handle on it. Overall, this whole situation is very tragic and extremely sad. And yes, all of these affluent areas are being affected, and it's crazy. We see celebrities' houses getting burned down. Those people, yes, it's terrible, and I hope they all stay safe. Those people have the money and funds to rebuild their life and be fine for the most part. You've got to think about the average, ordinary person like you watching this and myself, that if affected by this, it would change like the trajectory of your life for hopefully only the next few years. But it's tough to completely rebuild your family, get a new house, like lose tons of possessions, have to deal with insurance companies. Like, that is not an easy fucking thing to do. So we really need to keep all these people in our thoughts and prayers and hope for the best for California. As fucked up as California is, I do hope that the people stay safe, and I really hope that that death toll does not climb any higher. That's all I got in this video, guys. I will see you in the next one.